Okay, so we're going to talk about species biodiversity further. Biodiversity is the variety in species, depicted here in the bottom right corner, as the number and abundance of species present in different communities. It's also the variety in the genes that they contain, or the genetic diversity, as depicted here in the bottom left corner of your screen, the variety of genetic material within a species or a population. And a good example is the variety of shell colors for this one particular species based on genetics. It's also the variety in ecosystems or ecological diversity, and that's the variety of terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems found in a given specific region. And it can be the variety in the functional diversity of a region, including the biological and chemical processes such as energy flow, matter recycling that is needed for the survival of species, communities, and ecosystems. A key point that should stick with you from the teachings this semester is that the more diverse an ecosystem is, the more stable the ecosystem, partially because the increased number of species in the food chain reduces the importance of any one particular species. Biodiversity is important to humans for a variety of reasons that are listed on the slide in front of you. One is food production relies on biodiversity. You're going to be hearing a little bit about the honeybee population decline and how that potentially can be impacting our agricultural production. So making sure that the honeybee is still okay in population numbers and remaining a part of the biodiversity of the region is good because it provides benefit to pollination of our crops. Biodiversity helps promote clean air and clean water due to the ecosystem services associated with our ecosystems. And then shelter and warmth, shelter being our homes that we build from the raw materials that are available, as well as warmth from a heating standpoint for fuel wood that we can use to keep our homes warm. And the list goes on. I'm going to spend a little time talking about health and medicines on the next slide. So, one example of natural capital is what's on the screen in front of you, known as nature's pharmacy. Parts of these plants can be used to create medicines that help treat different types of medical issues. Most of the plants that we use to treat medical issues are found in our tropical rainforest, which makes it even more important to protect those biomes. So, 9 out of 10 leading prescription drugs originally came from wild organisms. About 2,100 of the 3,000 plants identified by the National Cancer Institute as sources of cancer-fighting chemicals come from our tropical rainforests. Despite their economic and healthcare potential, fewer than 1% of the estimated 125,000 flowering plant species in the tropical forests have been examined for the medicinal properties. So we still have plants that we haven't even explored what the potential is for using them to help treat a variety of human ailments and diseases. So what happens is when plants are researched to determine if there's active ingredients that can be applied to medication purposes, they then try to produce those ingredients synthetically in a laboratory setting. So a few of these are listed here. Rauwolfia. This is found in Southeast Asia, and it's known to contain substances that can help treat anxiety and high blood pressure. Foxglove is a plant found in Europe, and actually you can find that here in the United States, and it is known to contain substances that can be used to treat heart failure. The Pacific yew tree, which is found in the northwest of the United States, has substances within it that has been used to treat ovarian cancer. The cinchona plant is from South America, and they use quinine from it for malaria treatment. The rosy periwinkle is from Madagascar, and they have used substances from this plant to treat Hodgkin's disease and lymphatic leukemia. The neem tree from India has been used to treat many different types of diseases and is also used as an insecticide. This map is depicting the 25 hotspots of biodiversity around the world. Brazil's Atlantic forests, central Chile area, Ecuador, most of Central America, parts of the Caribbean, California, as well as the western coastline of Africa, Madagascar, Cape Floristic in South Africa. You have the Philippines, as well as the Indonesia area, and portions of China, and some of Australia, as well as New Zealand, and a little bit up here near Europe. The countries color-coded in orange are considered to be the most biodiverse countries in the world. These countries contain 60% of the world's known terrestrial species. Costa Rica is considered a superpower of biodiversity. They have conserved 25% of its land, even though it's a small land area, and they've created 8 mega reserves, which I'll show you on the next slide. Their government has eliminated deforestation subsidies, and they've actually paid landowners to help maintain and restore tree coverage. In addition, Costa Rica is experiencing a boost in their ecotourism of people wanting to come to this very unique biodiverse country. This is a map depicting Costa Rica and the 8 mega reserves with the surrounding buffer zones. Costa Rica isn't that large, as you can see by the boundaries here, and they've contributed a large portion of their land to be preserved and protected in order to keep the country's rich biodiversity. This is a map of the United States and the biodiversity hotspots throughout the U.S. It shows areas that contain the largest concentrations of rare and potential endangered species, and this came from the Nature Conservancy and Association for Biodiversity. So if an area is depicted in red, they have a high likelihood of containing rare species. If an area is colored green, they have a low likelihood, but yet it is designated as a biodiversity hotspot region. So much of California has various red locations, which may be attributed to some specific plant or animal. The sequoia trees in California are known to be rich in biodiversity as far as the habitat that they provide to that area. And then you have regions in Florida. This is the Everglades National Park region. And then we have our Smoky Mountain region in eastern United States. The top 6 hotspots, and I missed Hawaii down here, so we got to look at Hawaii, are Hawaii, the San Francisco Bay area, the Southern Appalachians is ranked 3rd, Death Valley is ranked 4th, Southern California, and the Florida Panhandle. This is another map depicting the number of species per ecoregion, and the areas that are shaded dark green contain the highest number of species, and the areas that are shaded yellow contain the least number of species. So looking at Australia, due probably to the desert region here, they lack species and have less than 500 different species, as opposed to here in Brazil and South America. This region is home to over 5,000 different types of species. China has a region also that has more than 5,000 different species. We here in Pennsylvania, or the eastern coast, range between 3,000 to 5,000 different species. And you'll notice that Costa Rica is colored green, dark green, and that too contains more than 5,000 different species. Madagascar is rich in biodiversity, as well as this region over here with the Philippines and Indonesia. Svalbard is the center of an international system of seed banks, depicted in the pictures on your screen. This is a picture of the entry to the vault on the left, as well as what the vault looks like inside. A short video clip was available to you in D2L under the lesson content titled Svalbard Global Seed Vault for you to watch. Please make sure you take time to watch that. This seed vault is located in a 500-foot abandoned mine shaft in the mountain between mainland Norway and the North Pole. It preserves over 1 million seeds that represent more than 860,000 crops from around the world. The purpose is to act as a backup to protect against natural disasters, war, and climate change. For the first time now, it is actually fulfilling that purpose. In September, officials from the seed bank in Aleppo, Syria, which has now been moved to Beirut, Lebanon, requested about 116,000 samples from the seed vault in Svalbard. The seed samples are needed to replace a collection of seeds that have been damaged due to the conflict of the Syrian civil war. This request for these 116,000 seed samples from the Svalbard seed vault is the first time in our history that a withdrawal from the seed bank has actually happened. This withdrawal was not caused by natural disasters or disease or weather problems. It was actually caused by human actions, like I said earlier, as a result of the Syrian civil war. This is a global view of the Svalbard Global Seed Vault's location. Svalbard was chosen as a location for the main backup source for more than 1,700 gene banks of seeds across the world. The reason why the vault is an ideal location for long-term seed storage is because it's the farthest north a person can fly on a scheduled flight. The area is geologically stable and humidity levels are low. It's above sea level and protected from flooding. And the permafrost acts as a natural, cost-effective, and fail-safe method to help preserve the seeds. The storage capacity at this seed vault is over 4.5 million varieties of crops. Each variety can contain, on average, 500 seeds, so this means that over 2.5 billion seeds can be stored in this vault. The link at the bottom of your screen is a YouTube video which I've copied into the D2L course for your viewing, and it provides some details about the Svalbard Global Seed Vault and gives you a tour of the facility, so please make sure you take time to watch that. Not only is it important for us to preserve biodiversity that occurs naturally, but through these seed vaults we're also preserving the seeds that we use to grow crops as well.